We have a serious problem with rising Islamist sectarianism in the UK, and it's about time we started saying it as it is.
Alaikum. Hope you well, inshallah. She's not going to be in the video, but she's going to have her say with this whiteboard that I bought her. But why is the default that the woman is innocent and the man is always guilty? Okay, that's something my wife wants to say. Salama probably had enough, as women give a lot of chances, has zero tolerance now. Okay, this is why I want you here. Yeah, it's very important for you to be here.
Yes, that is a Muslim preacher with over 1 million followers on YouTube. He's of Turkish descent, born in London. He was only letting his wife there communicate through a whiteboard. And what do you make of this as well?
Her, that she is punished and she is stoned to death. And according to the Sharia again, when it comes to women, there must be a hole dug in the earth, in the ground, and she must be covered up to the half of the body, so that her satar does not appear.
That's Green Lane Mosque in Birmingham, just a few miles from Villa Park. And an imam there preaching how to stone a woman to death for adultery. No arrest, by the way, no bans on sermons, no safety concerns over women's rights there. But God forbid Maccabi Tel Aviv supporters wave a scarf and suddenly the police will have to descend to protect us from these radical Israeli extremists. That's what we're being told. This is two-tier Britain, isn't it? Islamist sectarianism gets a pass while Jews get the boot for simply existing and wanting to watch a football game. West Midlands Police, their force, have openly declared they clearly cannot keep Jewish fans safe from the hatred of successive governments that have allowed to boil over in Britain since October the 7th. We see them weekly, don't we? We see the protests weekly. Their answer, instead, has been to ban Jewish fans from being allowed to attend their football match. And I think this is exceptionally revealing as to how far we have kowtowed to the rising Islamist and anti-Semitic mob in our country. Do you remember Amsterdam last November?
Where are you from? Where are you from? Say it. Huh?
Привет, спасибо. Passport.
Passport.
Where are you from?
Yeah, Maccabi fans were hunted down on the streets by gangs asking to see Jewish Israeli passports just hundreds of yards away from the house of Anne Frank, before, in some cases, unleashing violence upon them. Some of these thugs had pre-organised a WhatsApp group that was called Jew Hunt. That was revealed by The Telegraph with messages saying this: tomorrow after the game at night, part 2 of the Jew Hunt. And tomorrow we will work them. It's shocking, isn't it? Well, it's none other than Birmingham Council who are behind this football ban, of course. The same council, I think, is rotten with prejudice. Joanne Roney, the Birmingham City Council's managing director, was allegedly caught on tape calling a Jewish property agent a massive Jewish B-end. You can fill in the gaps there, while plotting to block the fans, of course, from attending. An accusation, by the way, she and the council do deny. She's still in her job. By the way, there's been no investigation, but I'm sure we'll hear more. Meanwhile, independent pro-Gaza MPs are celebrating Jewish fans from being banned from the match. Far left MP Zara Sultana tweeted her jubilation at the news of the ban, as if keeping Jewish fans off British soil is some kind of victory or of some twisted justice in her mind. Ayub Khan, MP for Birmingham Perry Barr, crowed that the ban sends a strong signal, thanking everyone who had signed his petition. And actually, I agree with Ayub Khan. I think it does send a strong signal. It sends a signal that Birmingham has fallen into the hands of sectarian Islamism. These elected politicians cheer segregation based on faith and nationality, but scream Islamophobia, where they get an ounce of criticism aimed at the failed cultural practices of many communities across the country, whilst also going on to praise the successes of integration whenever the narrative suits them. It is ridiculous, isn't it? It's nuts. Well, I guess integration doesn't include Israeli Jews in their version of Britain. We have let this extremism spread. Mosques incubating hate, MPs seemingly fanning the flames of sectarianism. It's not pro-Palestine passion, isn't it? It is becoming raw anti-Semitism, whispering Jews aren't welcome in Britain. They should overturn the ban on Maccabi fans, yes, but more importantly, we need to start rooting out the rot festering in our country. Prosecute the hate-preaching imams. Sack the bigots, call out to the MPs celebrating this ridiculous exclusion. We cannot all idly sit by while this unabashed anti-Semitism continues to thrive in our country, whilst also turning a blind eye to the rise of Islamist extremism because a few bigoted lefties say it's Islamophobic.
Using the internet without a VPN, a virtual private network, is a bit like taking to the road without car insurance. All it takes is one unlucky moment to cost you a lot of cash. This video's sponsor is Private Internet Access. They are the VPN to help keep you safe. Click the link in the description below to find out why over 30 million people have downloaded PIA to protect themselves online. A virtual private network is an app that hides your IP address and helps keep your data private. When you're browsing the internet at home, you give up a large amount of data to businesses, to shops, and indeed to social media giants too. Hackers have the ability to steal your personal data with ease, including sensitive information such as passwords, keystrokes, and even your personal photos. Private Internet Access helps protect your personal data by encrypting your internet connection to keep your data out of the hands of cyber criminals. And it's not just hackers either to be concerned about. Information can be censored too. When Canada passed their C-18 bill, social media giants decided to ban news content on their platforms. But PIA can protect your ability to consume the news and content you love. Private Internet Access is available for Windows users, Mac OS, Android, Linux, iOS, and you can use one PIA subscription to protect an unlimited amount of devices. And we've got a huge GBNews discount for you too. Click the link in this video's description and you'll get a massive 83% off PIA. That's under £2 a month, the price of a coffee, and you'll get an extra 4 months completely free on top. Also, there's a 30-day money-back guarantee too. Visit piavpn.com/GBnews to start protecting yourself digitally today.
Right, let's get the thoughts of my panel. Journalist and broadcaster Linda Jubilee, former Scotland Yard detective Peter Bleksley, and former Labour advisor Paul Richards. Linda, I just want to go back a second before we get onto the Maccabi situation, because I showed a couple of clips at the front there. The first was a British man born here, of Turkish descent. His wife was sitting off screen, being told she's allowed to be in the video, of course fully covered, but has to communicate with him through a whiteboard. What does that tell us about the radicalisation of young men in this country?
It tells us that we have a very, very serious problem. I mean, we live in a country, you know, I'm a woman, I have a young daughter. Women in this country have fought since the suffragettes for equality, for the vote. It took many decades and years to gain equality, equality of status in the workplace, equality of money. And to have to sit and listen to that man treat his wife in that demeaning way, and then we have to listen to an imam telling us how a woman should be stoned. I mean, that is unforgivable. I can remember the last time a woman was stoned in Afghanistan. I think it was less than 10 years ago. Stoned to death in the village square after she was wrongly accused of quite a minor crime. And that has now been imported into this country, and young men have been radicalised, they've been educated about this kind of thing. It's absolutely extraordinary that we allow this to go on. And what I want to know is, why isn't he prosecuted for hate speech?
Yeah.
It's obvious it's hate speech.
Yeah, I totally agree, Peter, because this is terrifying for me. This is terrifying to see the direction our country is going in. I mean, we've decided that Jewish fans and Israeli Jewish fans are not safe here. But this imam is still preaching, as far as I'm aware. He's not been arrested. He's still free to preach what I would call extreme... I mean, I think it's not extreme to say this is extremism in our country. It's starting to become very plain to me that there seems to be a sort of infiltration by these radical people into our deepest part of our institutions.
In 1961, there were 21,000 Muslims in the UK. There's now nearly 4 million, let alone the examples you've shown here tonight. If people wanted to jump on my X account, you'll see other Islamist preachers spouting vile, repugnant dross. There are many people who have come here to follow the faith of Islam, and they are not here to integrate. They are here to take over. And there are many readily available clips of significant Muslim preachers saying this in Europe. They are here to take over. And when they have sufficient numbers, that is exactly what they want to do. Of course, I'm not saying that is the view and the desires of each and every Muslim, but significant, prominent people want to do this. And as long as they want to do it, and as long as they've got a platform, and as long as they've got influence, it's a very real threat that we need to be aware of, because if it's not tackled, we are quite simply sleepwalking our way into a holy war on the shores of the UK.
Paul, I'll come straight to you, because this imam, of course, is quoting religious scripture. And this is perhaps where the issue lies for us, because we are having to bend and work around, of course, the right to be able to preach religious scripture. Is there an issue with our laws?
Well, I think there is a rising tide of anti-Semitism that needs to be tackled. I think we need to support the reform movements within the different Islamic denominations. I mean, there are Sufi Muslims, there are Ahmadiyya Muslims, there are women's groups within Islam who would utterly oppose this just as surely as we would. So there are those reformist, modernising voices within the vast religion of Islam. But the fact that most British Jews have contemplated fleeing the country, that many British Jews have a suitcase packed by the front door, you know, for fear of pogrom, and the fact that the case now of Aston Villa, you know, I think the full weight of the government now has to be about allowing those fans to come unmolested to watch the game and go home in safety, because the whole of our country now is under the view of the world saying, can you not protect a small number, a few hundred people, because they're Jewish? It reminds me a little bit of when that little girl was trying to get to school in Arkansas after the Americans had brought in the Race Relations Act, the Civil Rights Act.
Yes.
You know, the president deployed the National Guard and made sure that the hate mobs could not stop her walking down that road to go to school. Now, I think it's a similar case now. We have to deploy not just mutual aid of other police forces, but if necessary, whatever it takes to guarantee the safety.
Very briefly, if you don't mind, because there's a lot of criticism thrown at Labour. A lot of criticism thrown at Labour.
But none of the people... hang on,
just hear me out, because I want you to respond, because a lot of people will say, actually, Labour has bent over backwards for some of these communities. They've bent over backwards. You've seen Angela Rayner out campaigning in mosques or communities of just men in the room in many cases. And so there'll be a lot of criticism thrown at Labour. Is that fair?
Well, I would say none of the politicians you've cited are Labour. They're all people who are very much anti-Labour. Zara Sultana is somebody we booted out. Keir Starmer has kicked out most of the anti-Semites. Many of them have found homes in other political parties. Other political parties have seen their memberships spike.
Allegedly knew that this football ban was going ahead.
I think we will see in the next few days quite strong action on this, because, like I say, the government is, under the spotlight now. The nation is under spotlight. We cannot have this ban to rest, and I think those that have called for it need to be called out as well and asking what the hell were you thinking?
Briefly from yourself, Linda, are all political parties to blame here? Do the Tories not do enough? Did Labour just kowtowed over to Islamist extremism? What do you think?
I think that Labour have done more kowtowing than Conservatives, but you can't rule out that Conservatives have behaved as well. I mean, we live in an era of performative politics, and people have done far too much virtue signalling on this subject. We need to take this very seriously. Just very briefly, I worked for teaching contextualised English to an Afghan charity, just for a few months. It was departure. But during that time, we had a lot of support, a lot of money from Comic Relief to fund an Afghan girls football team. The local imam in the local mosque went ballistic when we posted pictures of the girls in a football strip. In a football strip, with money donated from the British public to fund the team, and that's a problem.
Peter, in a few words, last word to you, in a few words, what can we do about this and what should we do?
Stop it or it's war.
That's it. There you go. There you go. You had it there from Peter Blexley.